I'm very unsure of myself most of the time, not certain if I'm saying the right things, if I am acting the right way, if I'm even supposed to be here.
We are back for another video in 2024. I'm so excited about the new year. Can you tell? Shout out to everyone that tapped into my last video. I want to talk about how to revamp your friendship circle. After my last video, how do you create friendships in your adulthood? And this has been a challenging experience. This has been a challenging journey. I just want to start off by saying this first. Before I started meeting new friends, I was alone. I was completely by myself. I just want that to be known because I want you to understand that this too is also part of the process. You don't just hop from one friendship to the next. You're not creating a meaningful connection. You're just hopping from one friendship to the next because you desperately want friends. Through this journey, I realized it's just like dating a man or dating in general. It's very similar. I didn't want to leave a bad friendship and not learn and grow and then just get into another friendship. I needed some time to myself, and I'm so grateful that I actually took the time to myself to reflect and go over the things that I experienced and become more aware and self-aware of how I've been cultivating past friendships that weren't as healthy. So I set out some time with myself, ended up turning into a full year before I really started to connect with people again, because I just needed some time to myself to figure out why did I keep attracting or creating these relationships. It really came down to creating a lot of my friendships when I was a child. So the first thing that I'm going to tell you when it comes to revamping your friendship circle is to reevaluate those relationships that have been in your life for an extended period of time. And it could have started when you were a teenager. It could have started when you were 20 something, because those relationships have to be reevaluated. They should be reevaluated over a certain period of time because you outgrow people. If you truly are dedicated to your path of spiritual enlightenment, personal development, you may outgrow those around you. And so you have to periodically check in with yourself, check in with the relationships that you are cultivating in your life, and you need to figure out if these relationships are still benefiting you, if they are still nourishing you. I think that's huge. I'm going to tell you to start with those relationships that have been there for a while. Those relationships need to be evaluated. I wish someone would have told me that, because I never thought me moving to Houston, I was going to have to reevaluate my friendship circle. I never thought that that was going to be a thing. I thought that because I was doing the work on myself, that I just assumed, and that's why you shouldn't assume, I assumed that the women that I had been friends with for an extended period of time were doing the same. And honestly, some women put on a good front about how they're doing all the inner work, but they're really not. They put on a really good front by leveling up their lives materialistically, but they're not doing the inner work. And so when you meet up with them and you bump into a wounded feminine, and you can instantly tell they're wounded because they tend to be insecure, immature, you start to realize that you have outgrown that person. They may appear to be elevated, but they're not elevated in the mind. And so it's hard to cultivate a relationship with them when you're literally not on the same frequency when it comes to maturity. You're not on the same frequency. So when we speak about revamping your friendship circle, you have to start with the relationships that have been there for 8 years, 10 years, 20 years. You need to reevaluate the people that are already in your life first. And then it could be 2 years, 4 years, or even 5 years. You just need to make sure that you're checking in within these friendships and you are both on the same page energetically, mentally, spiritually. Because if you're not, they have the power to bring you out of alignment, and you don't want that. The whole purpose of being a feminine woman, a spiritual woman, a woman that's enlightened, you always want to cultivate relationships that keep you aligned. That includes romantic relationships, but also friendships and the relationships that you cultivate with your family. You always want to ensure that you have people around you that keep you in alignment, because if you don't, it will take you off path, and then it will be hard to manifest your wants and your desires within your life. So it's so important that you reevaluate the people that you do have around. And I've been so bad at this. I have picked horrible friends. Now, I can give myself grace and say, oh, but I was young, I didn't know any better. That's true. But to continue having relationships with women when I know they're not good for me, at that point, I'm self-sabotaging. At that point, I'm not being fair to myself, because now that starts to play into my self-esteem, where I don't feel like I deserve better relationships, or that better relationships are out there. Better relationships will find me. You have to turn that switch on in your mind where you acknowledge within yourself that you are worthy and deserving of better friends. And that's something that I had to work on within myself. It took therapy, because I had to see my toxicity to understand why I wasn't getting the things that I wanted in friendships, why I wasn't receiving in friendships, because I was always the giver in the friendship. It made me reevaluate things within myself. Then it made me reevaluate the relationships around me. And then that's how I got into revamping my friendship circle. So that is how I got to this place. I had to do a lot of inner work, because if not, I was just going to go out and create the same friendships. And I didn't want that, because I had made the connection within myself that I deserve better. I am worthy of better. So I had to take some time out with myself. I started dating myself. I started going out alone. I started going to events alone. And in the process of me dating myself, I started meeting new people. But for a whole year, I kind of kept them at arm's length, because I was still doing some work on myself that needed to be done. And I didn't want to bring them into my space until I felt that I was really ready. And it took me a full year to do that. And now it's been about 3 years now, and I feel comfortable with saying, okay, these are friends. These are women that I can actually depend on. They pour into me, I pour into them. And it took time, because honestly, it took a year of them being at arm's length, but still trying to get to know them. But then it also took another year of bonding with them, vetting them, truly getting to know them. And then by the 3rd year, I'm like, okay, I can actually call them a friend. When I moved, girl, when I recently moved, I needed someone to watch my car. And I didn't know what I was gonna do, because I'm like, oh my gosh, my apartment isn't gonna be ready for 3.5 weeks. So I didn't have anywhere to leave my car. I didn't want to put my plants in storage, because I didn't want them to die. So I reached out to my community that I was trying to cultivate for myself, and they came through for me. They came through for me, and I never had that in a community. I never had that within friendship. I never had people who actually showed up for me and were there for me in that way. Not like that, where they have to go out of their way. I never had friendships like that. So I also used this opportunity to test the community that I had cultivated for myself, to see who was going to show up and who was not. And I was able to do that. And then I was going to be able to determine if this was an associate or if this was a friend. Because friends to me are supposed to be dependable. And if they're not dependable, can you really call them a friend? You may want to call them an associate. Because associates are just people that you hang out with, you socialize with, and you do things with socially. But then a friend is someone that you can really call on when you're in need, and they will show up for you. So that is what I experienced. That is the only reason why you hear me saying friend, because I'm not the type of woman that meets a woman instantly and I'm calling you bestie. Hey bestie! I just feel like that's fake. I feel like it's very fake. When you revamp your friendship, always keep in mind that you have to grow into friendship. It's not something that happens instantly. This is not middle school. This is not high school. This is not college, where you're looking for people to befriend because you're in this space with them, it's different. You actually have to grow into friendship, which can take years. And as you grow into friendship, your bond, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And if you vet properly, you will be able to grow with the new relationships that you're trying to cultivate in your life. So I've learned so much from this experience. So I'm going to tell you what I did and what did not work for me. Now, before I get into what I did and what did not work, I want to make this very clear that what doesn't work for me still may work for you, and what works for you may not work for me. So always keep that in mind. Always be your own woman and go out here and figure things out for yourself. Don't just go off of what other people are telling you. So I tried Bumble BFF. I was not successful. I found that meeting women out solo was just better for me. I think when people meet me face to face and they intertwine their energy with my energy, we just instantly connect and we bond, we laugh, we have a good time, and it's just better for me because I feel like people can feel me out and they're not judging me by my appearance. So I just feel like me putting myself out there solo was how I was really able to create genuine friendships. I highly recommend that. And yes, it is scary, but what they don't tell you is that when you're in the beginning and you're super anxious and you're nervous and you're sitting in your car and you're like, are you really about to do this? Are you really about to get out the car? Like, girl, you about to go in here by yourself? What they don't tell you is that that's practice. What they don't tell you is that if you keep doing it, it becomes normal. Anytime you step outside of your comfort zone, you always have to tell yourself in the back of your mind that this is practice. It's uncomfortable, yes, in the beginning. But now I go out like it's nothing. I go out by myself like it's absolutely nothing. And I still make it a habit to go out by myself so that I'm not creating codependent relationships because I've done that before. So I still try to date myself and do solo outings. And then I still go out with friends. And I try to find that healthy median, that healthy balance, because I don't want to ever just be codependent on this friendship or this friendship. I try to still do the solo things with myself so that I'm secure and I self-validate myself and I'm not depending or leaning on these friendships in an unhealthy way, because I've done that in the past. I've been codependent in friendships. I can admit that, where I'm leaning on people, and even if they're not really doing anything for me, they're just there. They're not doing anything for me. They're just in my life. They're just there. That's codependency. Even if they weren't pouring into my cup, just them being there was enough for me because I was codependent. So I make it a habit to continue to solo date to ensure that I'm not creating codependent friendships. That's huge for me. Now, that may be your situation. That may not be your situation. Every woman's situation is going to be different. But if you do struggle with codependency, I would try that even if you start making friends, that you start the solo date. Or if you feel like you're codependent in any of your friendships currently right now, you should try to solo date so that you're not depending on these people in an unhealthy or toxic way. So I tried BFF. I wasn't successful with that. I'm not going to give it a bad rating because honestly, I just think it's all about meeting people, being there at the right place, right time, or being on the app at the right time, right place. A lot of things go into meeting people, so I don't want to discourage you from Bumble BFF. I just like going out and meeting people face to face. That's just what works best for me. If you're a personable person, meeting people face to face probably would work better for you. I just don't like texting. I don't like talking on the phone. I just don't like that. I like meeting you in person. I'm just one of those type of people. That's just my experience with Bumble BFF. I'm not really saying I'm against it, but I just wasn't successful with it. The last thing, how to vet when you revamp your friendship. That's why it's crucial to kind of solo date for a while. Learn more about yourself. Even if you do meet people, you probably should keep them at an arm's length because you need to work on yourself, do some self-reflection. You need to spend some time with yourself and self-reflect. It's important for you to do that so you will learn how to vet better. So one thing that I learned with solo dating and me reflecting over my past friendships for an entire year, I reflected on my past friendships for an entire year, and I realized some unhealthy patterns within myself. I realized some unhealthy habits within myself that created these unhealthy friendships. Prime example was being the strong friend. Another example was having low expectations, not expecting people to show up for me in the way that I show up for them. I had no boundaries in friendships. Also, being too laid back. One thing that I noticed within my friendships was at times I was just too laid back to the point where people felt like they could control me because I was just okay with whatever, because I was so laid back. So I'm the type of friend where I'm not gonna make a big fuss about what we're doing, where we're going, who we're seeing. I'm kind of like, oh, I'm down, like, let's go, let's do it. And I noticed that with me being this way in friendship, people felt like I would just be okay with whatever. It didn't matter. I created an unhealthy dynamic within my friendships because I was like that. I'm the type of person where, girl, you could put me in the back seat. I'm on chill mode. I don't even need to be in the front seat. I don't need to know the plans for real. I'm just down. I'm ready to go. I'm just happy to be outside. I'm a very go with the flow type. I like to be in the flow because that's the vibe. I like to be on that frequency, but I've learned that by me being in the flow with no boundaries has really hurt me a lot in friendship. So now I create boundaries while also not making a big fuss about the small things, because I'm never going to be like that, but also having certain expectations and boundaries for those that I share spaces with within friendship. Some other things that I realized about my toxic patterns within friendships were people just trauma dumping on me and not creating that boundary about, I can't handle what you got going on right now. I need some space, and creating that distance because maybe I'm not in a good place. So one thing that I noticed about my past friendships, they could come and just dump on me. They could come to me whenever. It didn't matter what I was going through, what I may have been experiencing. They could just come in and just dump. And I would just sit and I would listen. I would sit and listen to them vent, and then I would feel so drained. Another thing that I noticed within those past friendships as well, when I would find the courage to open up, because I struggled with opening up in friendships, and sometimes I look back on those experiences thinking, was it because I never really felt comfortable? My spirit, my body, everything in me just did not feel comfortable to open up because of who I was friends with? Or was it because I truly battled and struggled with opening up? I don't know. But what I do know is that it's an unhealthy friendship. It's an unhealthy relationship. So one thing that I noticed was a lot of times in these friendships, they would trauma dump on me or vent to me. And then when I would find the courage to open up and express myself, they would quickly change the subject. It would be almost like, okay, I'm finally opening up. I'm finally talking about my feelings with them, being vulnerable. And then I instantly get shut down because they start talking about themselves. They don't even acknowledge what I just expressed. And see, I'm a good listener in friendship. So I feel like I deserve that in return. I'm listening to you. I'm not interrupting you. I'm not on my phone. I'm giving you my undivided attention. And I'm acknowledging your story, what you're going through, how you feel. I'm acknowledging everything as you're communicating it to me. And then when it's my turn, you are dismissive and you don't even acknowledge what I just expressed. So you're now showing me that you're not a safe person that I can open up to. And I've been in friendships that were one-sided like that. And I don't know why I allowed it for so long. I think it was me not really wanting to open up and being in friendships where they didn't expect me to. And at the time, I guess I was okay with that because I was in a toxic place. Now I go to therapy and it's like, okay, I want to express myself. I want to talk about my feelings. I want to be vulnerable within my friendships. Before I did not, because I wasn't in a good place. I didn't want to talk about the bad things that happened to me. I didn't want to open up in that way. But now that I'm healing and I'm working on myself, it's like, okay, I want to do those things, but I'm not in a friendship that facilitates that safe space. So I'm learning that you have to look over your past friendships and you have to see the toxic patterns that you may have created in your own friendships where you felt like your needs were not getting met. So now I feel like I have revamped my friendship circle and I feel comfortable opening up to them. I feel comfortable expressing myself freely. I feel comfortable opening up to them and telling them how I feel. And I never felt comfortable doing that in friendships. And like I said, I don't know if it was because spiritually I never felt comfortable, energetically I never felt comfortable because of the people I was around, or just just how they would respond, or if I just wasn't ready or I wasn't in that headspace yet because I wasn't truly ready to heal. I'm not really sure, but now that I have these friendships, it's like a breath of fresh air. And this is why you need to start adapting the mindset that you deserve friends that listen to you. You deserve friends that allow you to express yourself freely. They allow you to talk about your emotions. They allow you to speak to them from a spiritual standpoint. They allow you to also be yourself. I've never been nurtured from a place of me being myself in friendships. I always felt like I was being judged harshly. And come to find out, I think a lot of that was true considering what I just went through within the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years. So having friends that don't judge you, they embrace you, they nurture who you really are, is a blessing. So if this is something that you want, you have to believe that it's out there for you. You have to believe that you will meet your tribe. Because they're out there, but you have to believe that they're out here. You have to believe that you will find them, that you will bump into them. So I want to get into how did I meet these women. One girl I met in the bathroom at an event. And I just feel like how I met these women were so organic. But I met one girl in the bathroom at an event. I met another girl at the makeup store. And we love makeup. We love getting our nails done. We love looking good with our hair. We love to creatively express ourselves, and we met in the makeup store. Meeting my other friend in the bathroom was dope too, because the way we met was just, we were meant to meet. We were meant to meet because I had not seen her in the event at all. I did not meet her inside the event. If I would not have went to the bathroom, I don't think I would have bumped into her. I don't think I would have met her. One thing that I want to express to you, and this is why I want you to go outside of your comfort zone and solo date so you can meet your tribe. They're thinking just like you. They're like, oh, I need to put myself out there. I need to get outside of my comfort zone. I need to go to these events solo. You're meeting people that are thinking like you. You're meeting people that are on the same frequency as you, where it's like, oh, I need to go out there. I need to meet new people. I'm trying to really network and put myself out there. Another thing that I loved about meeting women and creating friendships from networking events, they have similar goals as you. They're out here chasing a dream just like you are. They're out here trying to create a lifestyle that is very similar to you. So when you put yourself out there in that way, solo, understand that you are going to meet your tribe because they're thinking exactly like you. Please keep that in mind, that you are meeting your tribe that way. That's why I would prefer you to put yourself out there organically, because it's real. Before you leave your home, set your intentions. Okay, so 2 things I would say to myself as I was getting ready to go out. I would be like, I'm putting myself out here to meet my tribe. I'm putting myself out here because I love myself. I'm putting myself out here because I deserve people that are like me. Do you not understand? If I met a friend like me, girl, if I met someone like me, and that's the thing, I'm meeting girls that are like me. I'm learning that every freaking day. I have really met women that are like myself, and it's just been such an amazing experience. And I'm so glad that I didn't take that negative approach, that negative mindset where it's like, I'm never gonna meet new friends. I don't even want to deal with women no more, because I could have really had that mindset. But I was like, no, I know my tribe is out here. I know there are women who think like me. I know there are women out here that want more for themselves. I know there are women out here that are not afraid to celebrate others. I know there are women out here that speak life into you. It can't just be me. So I'm learning every day that I've truly met people that are like myself, and it's been such a beautiful experience to have them pour into you. It's such a beautiful experience. So make sure you set your intentions prior to putting yourself out there so that you can meet your tribe. Have that mindset that you are going to meet your tribe. Have a positive outlook, and you have to have a positive outlook to get your desires, or you're going to end up attracting what you don't want. And when you do the inner work on yourself, you start to attract effortlessly. People think it's the outer stuff. It's not. It's the inner. Souls attract souls. You have to understand that. And when you start to work on yourself, you're going to attract those souls into your life. And it's such a beautiful experience. And I want you to have this experience because it's just everything. Revamping is a scary experience, because there's one thing that I do want to talk about. I forgot about this. When I started revamping my friendship circle, it started with me setting boundaries, and I started seeing how the women I was around did not respect me. So the women I already had in my friendship circle did not respect the boundaries that I was setting. So it made me realize that they don't respect me. And it's like, how can we be friends if you don't even have respect for me? That's when I started realizing that I needed to really start letting some people go. Because I started setting boundaries and they did not respond well. I got responses like, who does she think she is? And it's simple stuff, you guys. Like, it's not like I'm over here asking them to do backflips. I'm literally asking them, hey, I need space. Hey, I can't go and do this with you. I started realizing that a lot of these people that I had around me were very controlling. And partially it was because I was too laid back in my friendships, honestly. I think that's what really did me in, was being too laid back. I was too go with the flow. And I've gotten in trouble with this with men, and I've gotten in trouble with this with women. And that's the thing. When you are unhealthy, you'll start to see the parallels with all of your relationships, including family. I had to set some boundaries with them, but I felt like my family came around because they were simply like, okay, if we don't respect her boundaries, we won't be in her life. And we love her. We respect her. We love her. So we're going to adjust to her boundaries because we want her around. We want to be in her life. So my family made those adjustments, but a lot of my childhood friends did not. They did not. They felt like I was asking for too much. They felt like I was acting brand new. I was acting high and mighty. And it was like simple stuff, y'all. It was them just simply respecting who I am as a person. And it's like they could not do that. And I guess the new version of me was just someone they did not want to respect. They liked the older version of me because it was someone they didn't have to respect. It was crazy. So I started seeing that when I started setting boundaries, the reactions that I got from a lot of my childhood friends were crazy. And it really exposed a lot. That's why I said in my last video, my enemies in my last season were exposed to me. That is so real, because just seeing how they reacted and how they made it such a big deal, and then being able to compare that to how my family reacted, and then at the time I was being coached by my therapist, it made everything so much more clear to me. This is what it looks like to revamp your friendship circle. And I'm telling you, there are some amazing women out here. You just have to release these past experiences. I did a cord cutting. It's on my Patreon. If you're interested, I'll leave a link down below. If you're really wanting to cut the cord with those past relationships, do the work, self-reflect, and then revamp your friendship circle, you're going to meet some amazing women. And I really want that for you. So that's all that I have regarding this video. Happy New Year. And shout out to the girls that are doing the work. Shout out to the girls that are out here changing their lives and getting the lives that they desire. Shout out to the girls that are speaking life into themselves by saying things like, I deserve great friends. I deserve friends that are more like myself. Shout out to you. I'm excited for 2024. I'm excited for you within this season of the year 8. I recommend that you look into your personal year number. So what you would do is type in on Google, type in personal year number calculator, and then it will tell you what your personal year is going to be. Also, I would look into your destiny number. You can also type that in on Google and just type in destiny number calculator, and it's going to tell you what your destiny number is. Look into those two things, and you cannot tell me that 2024 is not going to be a great year for you. So that's all that I have regarding this video, and I hope to see you in my next one.